How is a broken person like me gonna be able to be like a father and like lead a home?
I remember I was sitting on the couch and just out of nowhere,
She said, I wish I was never pregnant.
I started like weeping, and I was just like, this is weird. I still felt so heavy, and I still like had those thoughts, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've heard the Lord tell me like, go talk to Caden.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Me and my wife obviously had been planning to have a baby for quite some time now, and we were praying to the Lord and just asking the Lord to be with us in this new season. And it was such a great pregnancy. You know, Savannah had gone to the doctor, and the doctor was telling her that she just was having just such a phenomenal pregnancy, that she was just her body was changing just very good, very fast. Like everything seemed like it was so perfect. We had these expectations of what it was going to be like being a mom and a dad, right? And there were certain things that we understood, and then there were certain things that we weren't really prepared for. And there's a common thing that a lot of people are familiar with, and it's postpartum depression and whatnot. And I talked to Savannah about it, and I know that she felt like she wanted to express her point of view and express how that's been for her, and just to be a little bit raw and a little bit intimate, and how we collectively have been battling that together, and what that actually looks like for her in her life, and talk a little bit about like how I am able to be there for her during this change and during this shift. A woman's body is going through all these rapid changes, and you really just can't help but to change, right? Like you start craving things to eat, your mood starts to change because you know your hormones are all over the place. And for you during the pregnancy, when did you feel the biggest change, like during the pregnancy for you?
Physically, within like the first couple weeks, because the first trimester I got so sick. Like I wouldn't even wish that on my worst enemy. I would go every day, if not multiple times a day, throwing up, and I couldn't eat. And I would be at work and I'd be throwing up in the bathroom, and I just felt so bad. I remember coming home one time and I had to tell you to pull over because I couldn't stop throwing up. I just felt horrible, and I lost so much. I lost like 30 pounds in the first trimester, and it was terrible. That was probably physically. Emotionally or like mentally, there was like a change, not in a negative way, that I can think of. Like I'd probably have moments where I'd question like, man, am I gonna be a good mom? But it wasn't anything like crazy. I think just the biggest thing during the pregnancy was physically. That was nothing compared to after pregnancy.
Don't misread it. We were super excited and pumped up, and like I remember a lot of times we would sit on this couch right here, we would watch TV, and I just remember like seeing Selah kick in your stomach, and I was just like saying, man, I can't wait like to actually have her like here with us, right? And like just sitting, just like watching TV and just being a family, right? I couldn't wait for it. And I know that you obviously like had a different experience. Like I wonder what it was like for you, you know, caring and like really developing this child, right? Like she was in your oven cooking and baking.
I remember someone telling me like the first trimester was the highest risk of miscarriage or whatever. So I remember just being crazy nervous and like worried. Like I was like, I just want to make sure everything's okay or whatever. And so we scheduled an ultrasound. And I remember at the ultrasound, I didn't really know what to think, because it still felt unreal. Like it didn't feel like I was pregnant because there was no changes. I felt normal. And so I remember going to the first ultrasound. You could hear the heartbeat, and you could see the heartbeat moving and stuff. And I think in that moment I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like I wasn't like emotional because it didn't feel real yet, but it definitely hit me of like, dang, I'm gonna be a mom. Like that's weird. Like that's so weird. When I was younger, I used to tell my parents like I would never have kids and stuff. But obviously as I got older that changed. But I think just through the pregnancy, it never really, like, obviously whenever she kicked and stuff, I'd be like super joyful and be like, oh my gosh, like, we have a baby, we're gonna have a baby, or da da da. The biggest emotion that I had was like, before you marry somebody, you want to be the person, the right woman that you want to be for your husband, and you want them to be the right husband for you, and blah blah blah, or however you want to say it. It's like my mental thought was like, man, I want to make sure that I'm the best mom that she could have. Besides that, like, obviously I was joyful, but I still always just had that weird thought of like, this is weird, it still doesn't feel real. And then I would get a kick and be like, oh, there's something kicking me. But
Yeah, I'd agree. Like, it didn't really feel real. It didn't hit me until like 2 weeks after she was actually born. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm a dad. Like, this is real. But I think it's really interesting. Like, me and Savannah, we had kind of two polar opposite lives when it came to family. I had more of a broken home situation. My dad really wasn't in my life growing up, and my mom wasn't always necessarily the best, but Savannah had completely different. Like, her mom and dad were like kind of there and did what they did what they could with what they knew and what they had, I guess is how I'd present it. So that was really interesting, like navigating those emotions. Is I felt like even though it was going to be new, like raising a child, there was still some thoughts in the back of my mind is like, dang, like how is a broken person like me going to be able to be like a father and like lead a home? Like how can that even happen? But then I started really thinking about it, and I was praying, and the Lord kind of revealed something to me through some prayer time. Is like, he allowed these trials and tribulations in my life to prepare me for the things to come. So it's like, the example I didn't have is the example I can be, because I'll be raising this child and I'll be leading this family from a perspective of something I never knew, or the things I desired, right? So I think that's pretty interesting. But it was definitely nerve-wracking, because like, man, a baby's a big responsibility, and I just didn't know. Oh my gosh, girl. You just lazy. You lazy. But yeah, I just didn't really know what to expect. I don't know if I had too many expectations, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't really feel real, and there was a lot of imposter syndrome.
especially like in the hospital, that was weird. And I remember we had a conversation about that. It's like, we got there, that whole thing is another situation, but I remember being in the room, and like, you'll see it in the movies, like it's like the fireworks. We like watch this video of like all the emotions you go through and all these things, and it's supposed to be like a movie or whatever. And like, I just remember it just went so fast.
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't a movie like people describe. For us, it was like a short film. Like, I think we got in, and like literally it was like, what, you had an appointment that Thursday morning at 9:30 to get your last checkup. You went, you sat down on the table, and your water broke. And then the doctor came in, she's like, yep, your water broke. And so,
let's go.
Yeah, we got sent down like at 10:30, and I think we officially like got clocked in at like 11. It was from like 11 until like 4:11 p.m. Then like Selah was born. And like that whole process, man, like,
It went by so fast. Like,
yeah.
I was prepared. I was like, oh, we're gonna be here all day. We called mom. I was like, oh, like, there's no need to rush, like, da da da. And I remember like the nurse would come in. The nurses would keep coming in, and they'd check me, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah,
you're already at 9 centimeters or whatever. And I was like, huh? What does that mean? They're like, it's go time. And it was just so weird.
Yeah, it was like, I think when it got down to go time, I think you ended up pushing 10 times, like literally, and then like she popped out. And I was like, when that happened, I was like, whoa, like what in the world just happened? Like I was like shook. I'm not even gonna lie. What was going through your mind? Like obviously it was such a rush and it was so fast, but like when she came out and they plopped her on your chest, like what was going through your mind?
I don't even know. I think it was just like all these months. It's like imposter syndrome. Like it was like it didn't feel real. And then it's like, oh, they put her on your chest and you're like, oh shoot. I actually just had a kid. Like that was actually for real. I went through all this for her and stuff. And then but I don't even know what I was thinking. I think like all I could do was cry and like thank God, and just I was like, it was just crazy. That's just how I can describe it. Like the whole experience and moment was just crazy. Cause like in my head, before I told Kate, I was like, this is what you're gonna do. I'm probably gonna be in pain. You need to make sure this happens, and da 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 da. And in the moment when it happens, I didn't care about anything. I was just like in awe of her.
Dude, like I remember like for months you were telling me, you need to wait until the umbilical cord goes white. Make sure it goes white.
Even mom was saying.
Like, yeah, they like her mom and her were telling me like that's my only job was like make sure that they don't cut that thing too fast. And like I'm like, all right. And so by the time it happened, it was like so quick. Like it was like I was so shook. I mean, they ended up waiting. I mean, the umbilical cord was white, and they let me cut it. But like, I was like,
remember.
I was not even worried about anything. I was like, oh my God.
I can tell I don't remember because I had asked you. I was like, did you cut the umbilical cord? Like I don't remember anything. Like I didn't remember anything. All I remember was just looking at her and just being like, whoa.
People talk a lot about like postpartum depression and whatnot, and this is a topic that a lot of people, it's hard to talk about, like when it comes like to mental health and all the things. And but I know I wasn't personally prepared for it. Like I didn't know what to expect. And I don't think I think Savannah thought and heard a lot of stories about people struggling with postpartum depression. And I think, you, Savannah, had struggled more mentally in your past. The enemy, the devil and whatnot would attack you in that way. So obviously I think you were kind of had a little bit of worry. Like
I wouldn't say I had worried. I wouldn't say I was worried about it. I think for me it's like when I thought of postpartum depression, because no one ever talks about it or no one ever talked to me about it or whatever. I looked at it as like what I went through whenever I go through, or whenever I went through kind of like a form of depression, but I don't claim that's really what it was, but whenever I was younger or like in high school or whatever. But like I looked at it as that. It was like if I could just look at the positive, if I could just be positive, if I just pushed it to the side, then I wouldn't have it or whatever. So like I never thought in my head, it's like, oh, I'm gonna struggle with postpartum depression. I'm gonna struggle with postpartum anxiety and all the things or whatever. Like I just thought like, oh, as long as I'm in my word and just being positive and going around doing the thing and acting like everything's normal, then I'm gonna be fine. Like I never thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna get that or worried about it. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah, and I think, she was born on a Thursday. We got to go home on what? Friday. I think everything was perfectly fine for like 3 days. Like it was just like, wow, like I could tell Savannah, like her whole mindset shifted. Like I could tell like she had more of a motherly instinct, and her mom and her family from Texas was going to stay with us for a week, so that was going to be good. but I don't know exactly when it happened or how it happened or when it happened. But I was sitting in the sunroom, and I was editing a video. I was actually editing Selah's birth video, and I thought Savannah heard the music and the sound voice, or heard the music and heard the voiceover of the pregnancy and stuff. So she came into the room, and she just was crying uncontrollably, like hysterically. And I just thought, she was just overhearing the video that I was making. It just made her emotional. And I was like, are you okay? And you just kind of like couldn't say anything. So like, I wonder if you could talk to me about like that initial feeling of like what was going on in your head, and like what were you feeling like before you came in there to me, and like why did you come in there to me? You could have just been by yourself. Like, talk to me and take me back to the moment that it started changing for you.
That day, me and Mom were like cleaning the house, and I just remember I was just constantly going. Mom was holding Selah at the time. I can't remember if she was feeding her or just holding her. And I was sitting over here on the couch, and it was nighttime. I remember I was sitting on the couch, and just out of nowhere, and it was like a thought of worry. Like I was worried about something. But how I would describe it is like I was worried about something that wasn't even happening, or wasn't even happening yet. Like I was worried about like whenever I started to go back to work and Selah wouldn't be able to be with me, like, oh my gosh, Selah's not gonna know who I am because she's not gonna see me during the day. And then it would spiral from that into like a bunch of other things. And I just remember I was sitting there and I was just like overwhelmed because it was like I couldn't control the thoughts that were coming to my head, and it was just like so overwhelmed that I didn't know what to do. So I got up, and I was like, in my head I thought, I was like, oh, let me just keep myself busy. Let me just do something to just try to ignore the thoughts that's happening in my head or whatever. So I got up and I went to the kitchen, and I just started washing her bottles, because she had a couple dirty bottles or whatever. And so I was washing her bottles, and I just remember I kind of just started crying a little bit, and like I couldn't silence the thoughts, like they kept coming or whatever. And so I didn't want to talk to Mom at the time because I didn't want her to be not freaked out, but I didn't want her to worry like about me, and like because I knew if I started talking about it, I felt like I would just start breaking down, and I didn't want her to be upset because I was upset. So I finished washing the bottles, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And I said it really fast so she couldn't tell I was like crying or whatever. She was like, okay. And so I remember I went to the bathroom and I sat down, and I started like weeping, and I was just like, this is weird. Because a lot of times, before I was pregnant, anytime like the enemy would attack me would be mentally, and whenever he would attack me mentally, I would just pray, and when I would pray and I would read my word, I'd be fine. Like that was my medicine, was like giving it to the Lord. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pray. And so I just remember I prayed, and I just sat there for a minute, and like I could feel like my flesh told me like, oh, just ignore it, like you'll be fine, like it's whatever, But I was still like, I still felt so heavy, and I still like had those thoughts, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't like this feeling. And I was like, I don't want anyone to worry about me, And I've heard the Lord tell me like, go talk to Caden, like go in there and go talk to him. And I was like, no, like he's working on the video, like I don't want him to worry, And as I kept telling myself no, like I'm not gonna do it, and fighting against it, I could feel like I was breaking down even more, because it was like I'm fighting this by myself, and I didn't want to, and my flesh wanted to, out of just like a habit of how I was growing up. It's like I didn't like talking about things, so I just wouldn't, and I would just keep it all to myself. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go in there and just tell him like I'm upset or whatever. Because I couldn't even explain like what I was upset about or like what the thoughts that were going on or whatever. So I remember I was like, oh, let me just wipe my face off. And so I walked in to the office, and I just looked at Caden, and he looked up at me, and he was like, what's wrong? And because I think you could tell it's because my eyes were so puffy or whatever. And he was like, are you okay? And I just broke down and just started crying. And he just kept saying like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? And I was just like, I don't know. I'm just really upset. I don't know what's going on. And I just think I kept saying is like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I just kept repeating that. And I must have been crying so loud because Mom had came in there, and she was like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? And Caden was like, I don't know. Like, she's just upset. Like, she's crying or whatever. And I think just in that moment, like, just saying like, I'm upset and I'm sad. I don't know why, but I just need you right now. Like, made it, like, I felt like a little bit of a weight was lifted off. Because I just knew in that moment, I was like, okay, I'm not by myself anymore. And you were trying to like talk to me or whatever, and I was just breaking down. And I remember we came outside. I think we came outside or whatever.
Yeah, I knew, like, it was weird when I saw your face and how you were crying. Like, I've seen you cry a lot, but this cry was a little bit different. I could tell you it was just like a little bit of confusion, like in the midst of your crying. Like, it was just not normal. And then like I kind of felt like, oh, like this has to be something with your hormones and whatnot. So I just remember going outside and just talking you through it, and just basically just telling you, hey, when you start to feel like this, like, don't isolate. Like, come to me, let's talk about it. You need to just open up and just get it off of your chest. And I got to pray over you a little bit and just speak scripture right over the situation. And I felt like it was so much better, like, knowing that this is a battle like we can't really fight by ourselves, but like really leaning on the Lord. And when we did that, I could just tell it, from my perspective, it was just like kind of a weight that was lifted, and that you felt better by it. And I just want to say I'm just very proud of you, because I know that was something like early on in our relationship, it was very hard for you to open up and learn how to communicate and just say whatever is on your mind, right? I think that was something that you really struggled with, right? And it was really hard on our relationship because I didn't know how to navigate your emotions at times. But I think that's just something that I want to say, in the midst, you've grown so much in that arena, because it's allowed me to help lead you when you are able to like communicate with me, even if there's not a direct solution that I have. So I just want to say I love you, and I'm very grateful that you're comfortable and look at me as like a safe place, I guess. But yeah, that first experience, I thought it was going to be okay and it was going to be better. But I think it was like that second experience in like this postpartum depression that I think it really freaked you out. Like, talk to me about that second experience.
Me and Mom were doing stuff all day long. I was completely fine during the day. Kept myself busy, like wasn't even a thought. Like, I was like, oh, yesterday it was just a one-time thing. Like, I'll be fine, like whatever. And then nighttime hit again, and we were just relaxing on the couch, and we were starting to settle down or whatever. And I was in the bathroom, and it started with the thought, and then it just spiraled. And normally, like, with the thoughts, it was like normal things to worry about, but it was just a lot. Like, it was just overwhelming. This time, it started off as that of just like normal, overwhelming thoughts. And then it was like one thought that just stuck out, and it's like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like one thought that was not normal that just scared me, because it was like, why did that thought come into my mind? I don't really feel like that. And then I started to question, like, do I really feel like that? And I started breaking down like hard.
I said, Savannah, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? Talk to me about what's going on in your head. And she just kept shaking her head, like, and just crying, like, I can't. And I'm like, Savannah, tell me, like, what is it? She's like, I can't say it. It's a bad thought. And I'm like, well, we have to speak it out loud. We have to say it and just get it out in the open where we can talk about it. And she just was like, I can't. And so I was like, Savannah, it's going to be okay. I said, I love you. And I just held her hand. I said, just tell me, like, what is it? And let's talk about it. And she said, I wish I was never pregnant. And I'm like, do you feel like that's true? And she was like, no. And I said, okay, let's talk about it for a second. And so I started bringing up a lot of conversations that we had, like just trying to bring back to her remembrance. And I said, do you remember what you told me, like when you were pregnant before you gave birth, what you told me about like Selah? And she was like, no, I can't remember. And I said, you told me that you couldn't wait to be a mother and you couldn't wait to see me be a father and for us to finally have our little girl in our life. It was something like that. And I just remember talking her through it, like, hey, like, why do you feel that way? Like, is there a reason, like, why that's on your mind? And she was like, no, there's no reason. I said, so if there's no reason, then it's not true. After I kind of told you that and we prayed and you felt better, like, you obviously had like 4 or 5 more like experiences, right?
I think like after that, obviously, I mean, it still sucked because I'd still have those experiences or whatever, but they definitely weren't as bad. I think I remember whenever me and mom and Selah went to Sam's or whatever, and I was like talking to mom about something, and I was like thinking about like, oh, mom's eventually gonna have to leave. And I got really upset, and I kind of was telling mom like, man, it kind of sucks, like you and dad live in Texas or whatever. And I got really emotional, and mom was just trying to like tell me like, hey, it's gonna be okay, like you're gonna be fine, you're gonna do great, we're still gonna come and see you, like it's gonna be okay, like don't think about that, like don't worry about that, like think of the positives, of be grateful that we can come and all these things. And I remember like what she was saying was helping, but I was still kind of like upset or whatever. Man, this, even though right now sucks, it's like, it's such a blessing to be able to have a child. Like, it reminded me of like, man, Selah's an answered prayer. Like, what I'm feeling right now is temporary, but like what she's gonna do in my life is permanent. Make sure you have, and that you don't let go of your prayer life and reading your word. But even more importantly is community. So obviously I would make sure, for me, obviously it's Caden. It should be your husband, but whether it's your husband, your mom, a friend, or somebody that you're comfortable with and is a safe place for you, making sure that you have somebody to talk to whenever you're going through those emotions, those thoughts, like having someone that's a safe place that you can express yourself and that can remind you, and even just be an ear for you, but can also remind you of what the Lord says about you, remind you of the positive things in your life, remind you of, hey, you just had a beautiful baby that's gonna be, and you're gonna be an amazing mom, and all those things. I think the second piece of advice would be, know that you're not crazy for going through this, because I thought I was crazy going through it because no one really told me or warned me about the emotions or the hormones that would change and all these things. I remember I posted a thing saying, like, man, postpartum is tough and it's crazy. And so many people were like, yeah, postpartum is really hard, like, da-da-da. And all I could think was like, man, I really wish someone would have told me, like, or warned me or let me know, like, hey, this is gonna happen or this might happen. Like, just know that you're not alone, da-da-da. So just my second piece of advice is, like, if this is you and then you go through those thoughts or you have whatever it is like, you're not crazy, you're not alone. Just make sure, going back to my first piece of advice, that you have somebody that you can trust in, that's your safe place on top of the Lord, but someone that can hold you accountable, that can be there for you, and that will support you.
So I really hope that all these little tidbits of advice and just a little bit about our experience can help one of you guys that are going through something similar, or you're just thinking about having a kid or whatever it may be. I hope that can give you a little bit more insight on our heart, our experience, and we have plans to create a little bit more content about our family and have some funny content, some educational content and whatnot. But yeah, we love you guys. If you guys need anything, definitely hit us up on social media. You can find all of our handles in the description of this video below. And if you want, we mentioned a lot about our birth video, so that'll be right here on the screen if you want to check that out. So stay tuned next time for the next video of the Reynolds family. So
The Reynolds homestead.
the Reynolds homestead. So we're gonna let Selah say peace out. Ready?
Wait, she needs to.
Oh, ready? Throw it up.
Oh, peace.